Hello, I'm Marty Martin, and I'm a faculty member at Depaul University in the city of Chicago, teaching the Department of Management. What I want to focus on today is about working in groups and teams, but more specifically, what's called the stages of group development. And there was a kind of a research by the name of Tuckman, and Tuckman was very famous for coming up with the stages of development for any group. He first came out with really 4 stages, but I'm going to present to you 5 stages. So the first one is forming, and then you go to storming, and then performing, and then norming, and then adjourning. I've got them mixed up. I'm going to say that again. Yep. Okay. So
Since James leaving, you want to
start from the beginning. Yep. Is he coming back? Whatever. If he does, he does. Yep.
All right.
Hello, I'm Dr. Marty Martin, and I teach in the Department of Management in the School of Business in the city of Chicago at Depaul University. What I want to share with you today are the stages of group development. There was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Tuckman. He was an academic. He is really the forerunner in terms of developing and highlighting these 4 stages of group development. What are they? They begin with forming, and then you have the storming, and then the norming, and then the performing. I'm going to add a 5th one, which is adjourning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each one of them, describe them, and then tell you what are some ways that you can handle some of the common problems and move to the next one. So let's begin with the first one, which is forming. So imagine this, you're called together by your boss, you're called together by your professor to engage in some type of work group or committee or ad hoc council. So you get an invite, face-to-face invite, email invite, however you get invited. So you're thinking, oh wow, what does this involve? So you have a lot of questions. How will this group be held accountable? What's the charge? What are the resources? What's my role? What's the role of other people? Who's the leader? How come they're the leader? So you have all these questions when you're forming. So it's extremely important, if you happen to be the leader that's convening this group, is you address all those questions. Some of those questions are informational questions. What's the charge? I would highly encourage you to write down the charge and distribute that among the group. Kill some trees, do it in paper, because it's tangible and it's kinesthetic. There's also emotional questions that people have. How can I do this group work? I'm already serving on 5 committees. I've got my own individual job. It's just too much. So let people know is, how will you support them emotionally? Maybe you may take away certain tasks. They're not completely overwhelmed. So during the forming stage, people have a lot of questions. Informational questions and emotional questions. Make sure you address those questions. One of the key things in the forming stage is to clarify the charge. Say it again and again and again. Share it on paper. Clarify the charge. Why are we convening, and what's expected of you as an individual member, what's expected of the whole, and also how they'll be held accountable. Those are some key aspects of leading at the forming stage. Now let's move to the next stage, storming. If you get more than one person together, there's going to be a little bit of scuffling and fighting and posturing, because that's what people do when they get in groups. That's normal, that's natural, so you want to normalize that. You want to make sure, though, that that conflict doesn't get to the point where it's destructive. So there you have to make sure that people are psychologically safe, career safe, and in some cases physically safe if people are scuffling and elbowing a bit too much. So with the storming phase, people may have questions about, why is that person the leader and not me? Or why is that person the leader and not so-and-so? And how come I have all these tasks, they don't have enough tasks? So one of the ways to really resolve some of this storming, although it's natural and normal, is to make sure you clarify the charge. You outline roles and responsibilities, and where those roles conflict and where they're separated. And you also emphasize mutual accountability. Those are some ways to kind of calm the waters during the storming phase. Then you move to the the norming stage. And at the norming stage, the group is settling in a bit. So they have a sense of, this is how you function, under stress, not under stress. This is how I function. This is how we work together. This is what we do well, not so well. So at the norming stage, I would highly encourage you, if you didn't do it previously, is to write down basically the rules of engagement and the rules of the road. So what's appropriate and what's not appropriate as to how we interact with others, how we make decisions. And really clarifying the decision-making process is very important. Will we make decisions by consensus? Will we do it by simple majority? Will we do it by the most kind of vocal, intimidating person? How will we do it? So that's really the norming stage. You're settling in, you're developing rules of engagement, so that way you can operate in a more orderly fashion. Then you move to the performing stage. So now you're in gear, you're settled in, and work is getting done. Things are flowing. So people still need attention. They need support, emotional support, instrumental support, informational support. Some people may need some course direction and redirection. People have to be navigated. And then you have to check in. Check in. Are we meeting our milestones? Are we meeting our deliverables? So you want to pause and celebrate. Do a self-check-in to find out what you can do better as you're performing and reward and recognize. And then hopefully you get to the point where you've achieved the deliverable. Not only have you achieved the deliverable, but you actually enjoy working with these individuals, or at least at a minimum, it's tolerable. Now we move to adjourning. Because some of you will be assigned projects and tasks and work for a group that exists for a short period of time, maybe 3 months or maybe even a year, then the group is disbanded. But if you're working, for example, maybe on a standing committee or a group or team in a hospital or a marketing firm or a legal team, then that group can last for years and years. But adjourning is very important. So in the group disbands, how do you say goodbye? How do you capture that knowledge for other groups? How do you capture that knowledge for yourself? But if you're on a group where maybe somebody may exit out, how do you say goodbye? How do you recognize them? How do you celebrate them? And if a new member comes in, how do you integrate them into the work that's been done previously? Not just the tangibles, but also, you know, this is the way that we've worked together. So if you have a new member into the group, you have to go over the norming process, if you will, with them. So if you think about these 5 kind of stages of group development, we first began with kind of the forming. And then we looked at storming, which is natural, so don't fight what's natural. But if you do the norming part, then you can resolve a lot of the issues that come up during the storming. And if you do that, you'll perform. And then you move to adjourning. Thank you very much, and have a great day.